Tampa Bay is like no place else.
Wait, you can't recycle the bag. You have to throw it away.
Proper recycling keeps it that way for everyone. Bags tangle in machinery and can bring sorting efforts to a halt.
No bags.
Trash the bags and keep our recycling program moving forward.
No, Mom, look. No plastic bags.
Do your part to keep our recycling bag-free. Trash the tanglers or return them to participating retailers. For more information, visit tampabayrecycles.org.
Good morning and welcome to the Transportation Planning Organization meeting. Let us stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could we have a roll call?
Commissioner Myers?
Here.
Mayor Ross?
Here.
Commissioner Owen?
Here.
Commissioner Wastel?
Here.
Commissioner Cohen?
Here.
Commissioner Kemp? Councilmember Citro?
Here.
Councilmember Hurtak? Councilmember Maniscalco?
Here.
Mayor Kilton?
Here.
Board Member Vaughn? Charles Klug?
Here,
sorry.
I'm here.
Thank you. Joe Lupano? Gina Evans.
Gina Evans for Joe Lopano.
Greg Slater. Here. Adelie LeGrand.
Here.
Planning Commissioner Soraya.
Here.
We do have an in-person quorum. Madam Chair, would you please call for a vote of consent for remote participation?
Yes. We have a motion for,
Second.
okay, motion by Councilman Maniscalco and second by Mayor Ross. We have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Mayor Ross?
Yes.
Commissioner Owen?
Yes.
Commissioner Wastel?
Yes.
Commissioner Cohen?
Yes.
Councilmember Citro?
Yes.
Councilmember Maniscalco?
Yes.
Mayor Kilton?
Yes.
Board Member Vaughn?
Yes.
Charles Klug? Greg Slater? Planning Commissioner Soraya?
Yes.
And the motion passes.
Thank you. This time we have the recognition of our outgoing TBO board members by Beth. Ms. Alden?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this is Adelie LeGrand. I wasn't called to vote on the last vote.
Sorry about that. Can you,
Madam Chair, because they are virtual, they don't participate in that vote.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Board members, at our first meeting of the new year, we like to recognize our outgoing board members from the previous year. And we have a couple of folks with us online. We have Mariella Smith. Yay. I love it when technology works. In person, we have Cody Powell, I believe. There you are. Come on up. And is Kimberly Overman here? I did not see her. But we're pleased to present certificates in recognition of their commitment and dedication to improving transportation for our community. And the certificates look like this. And perhaps we could stand in front of this screen so that we can get
In front of the screen.
Smith as well. Yes. Here, I'll stand here, and we will be putting one of these in the mail to Mayor Rose. Oh, so you're in the front? Yes. Does that work? We are also chagrined to lose from our Citizens Advisory Committee a very dedicated member who has served as chair of the CAC for several years, and that is Mr. Bill Roberts. And if I could ask him to come up as well. And Bill, this certificate is in recognition of your commitment and dedication to improving transportation for our community in 7 years of service and 5 years of chair as a member of the Citizens Advisory Committee.
What a pleasant surprise. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we congratulate all our former board members for their support and participation in TPO. At this time, we have the approval of the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Maniscalco, second by Councilman Citro. We have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Mayor Ross?
Yes.
Commissioner Owen?
Yes.
Commissioner Wastel? Commissioner Cohen?
Yes.
Councilmember Citro?
Yes.
Councilmember Hurtak?
Yes.
Councilmember Maniscalco?
Yes.
Mayor Kilton,
Yes.
Board Member Vaughn,
Yes.
Charles Klug,
Yes.
Gina Evans,
Yes.
Greg Slater. Yes. Adelie LeGrand,
Yes.
Planning Commissioner Soraya.
Yes.
And the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. And we're now at public comments, and we have 30 minutes that has been set aside for public comments, and each speaker has 3 minutes. Our first speaker is Christopher Hatton. Okay, thank you. Richard Burdoff. Richard Burdoff. Chris Boeing. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you. I'm Christopher Bowen, Chief Development Strategist for RD Management and the Rhythm Development in Tampa's Uptown, as well as Chairman of the Soaring City Innovation Partnership. I just really just wanted to express our appreciation to all the parties involved in studying the Fowler Corridor, certainly the work that is underway with FDOT. We're very supportive of their work. We understand, that it's been a long time coming, and a lot of hard work has already gone in to this process, and we're very excited to see what the outcome is. We believe that with the Rhythm Development and with Soaring City, that this is one of the most vital and I think important corridors for community empowerment as well as economic development. Certainly, there are a lot of other opportunities to ensure pedestrian safety and bike safety and encourage that and encourage connection block by block within our community. But again, very, very excited about supporting this effort going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Al Rossi, if I pronounced the last name correct. Al, he's with you? Okay, he's not here. Okay.
Both Mr. Burdoff and Mr. Rossi are with RD Management, but they won't be speaking this morning.
Thank you. We have virtual Rick Fernandez.
Thank you, Chair. Sound check, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Good morning and Happy New Year to all of you. Congratulations to the new members and officers, and also to members and officers of the Policy Committee. I saw that new officers were selected there this morning as well. And thanks also to those rotating off for your service. I was happy to see that Bill Roberts was recognized earlier, and I'll tell you now, just to not bury the lead, I'm here to pile on just a bit, because we've shared time on the CAC over the last few years, and I wanted to make sure that our thoughts are communicated as a matter of public record. It has been my privilege to serve on your CAC since 2017, originally appointed by Les Miller and now the at-large Hispanic representative and your vice chair. And during all that time, the CAC has been chaired by Bill Roberts. I believe Bill will be publishing our committee report in a few minutes. And as you know, he's coming to the end of his term as our chair. And I want to take my few minutes here to thank him publicly for that service. The CAC is a robust group. Discussions are often passionate. Recommendations are well thought out, vetted, and have often secured support in this room before this very board. Our effectiveness has been due, in no small part, in my opinion, to Bill Roberts' leadership. He is well informed, prepared, fair, and when necessary, firm and decisive. In other words, he's really good at herding cats. And that's a rare quality. This board, our CAC, and the community at large have been well served by Mr. Roberts, and he will be missed. On the upside, we'll finally be able to have a beer without concern for the Sunshine Law, and I'll look forward to that, Bill. I'm sure you'll find new ways to contribute in the community, because that's just who you are. but for what you've done for us, a heartfelt thank you and Godspeed. I'll cede the rest of my time.
And thank you. Sharon Carrot in person. Sharon?
Who can I give this to? Good morning. I'm Sharon Calvert, and I'm president of Fix Our Roads First. What I left behind was information that includes a timeline and background information regarding the I-275 North Boulevard concept. I believe this board must pass a motion implementing a policy that all grants must be presented to the board at a board meeting to approve before staff submits them. I also ask this board to pass a motion or resolution clearly stating the Hillsborough TPO will not pursue tearing down I-275 north of Hillsborough. In June 2017, Joshua Frank, then an architect student at USF, who was not an engineer or transportation expert, was given an opportunity that no other citizens is offered by the TPO. He gave a 30-minute presentation to this board to promote his tear down I-275 extreme proposal and replace I-275 North with a street-level boulevard. Harry Cohen, who was chairing the meeting, introduced Frank at that meeting. Frank's presentation launched the pursuit by the TPO of the I-275 Boulevard conversion study. In May of 2018, the I-275 Boulevard concept was put in the 2045 scenario planning. In 2019 and 2020, TPO hired Sam Schwartz to do the Boulevard conversion study. Their task order stated, quote, there has been a local interest in studying the conversion of I-275 from downtown Tampa to Barris to a boulevard. When Sam Schwartz and the TPO understood how costly and extensive the effort would be, that initiative was stopped. In August 2021, the TPO board appointed Joshua Frank to the TPO's Citizens Advisory Committee. The CAC subsequently requested the board to pursue the I-275 Boulevard conversion project. In December 2021, Ms. Alden informed the board that funding for the Boulevard conversion study may come from a federal grant program that can be used for interstate removal. TPO staff submitted the grant in October, just prior to an election that would impact the members of this board. Page 1 of that grant request states, quote, this grant includes re-envisioning I-275 as an at-grade boulevard. Since 2017, the intent was always to study tearing down the interstate and replacing it with a street-level boulevard. Truth knows no agenda, and history cannot be rewritten. This board needs to request TPO staff to rescind this federal grant, keep the I-275 North widening project in the LRTP, and put that project back in the TIP. Thank you.
Thank you. Joy Dew.
Good morning. My name is Joy Dew, and I am a member of Walk Bike Tampa, and I'm also a very active member in my neighborhood association, which is Live Oak Square. I was here for the beginning of the meeting that started at 8, and we were really talking about the high injury corridors. And I live on that Hillsborough 40th, Hannah 30th. And we are recently, come summer of 2023, the Hannah City Center is going to be opening up. And they assured us that this traffic is not going to affect our neighborhood, but I don't see that happening. Hillsborough, from the time I was a child, so I've recently inherited my childhood family home, so I've lived here for 50 years. And I've seen the accidents that are on Hillsborough. I've witnessed a pedestrian fatality at the age of 7. And I don't see any improvements happening on Hillsborough for the motorists, the pedestrians, as well as the bicyclists. And with 3 new apartments coming within our boundaries, as well as the Hannah City Center and all the traffic that is being brought in, it's going to affect Hillsborough, and that is on the top 20 injury corridors, as well as 40th, and we do have a school, Shihai Elementary School, that's there. And my neighborhood is very walkable, but unfortunately, because we don't have the sidewalks, we don't have the infrastructure, it's just unsafe for our kids to walk to school. And prior to getting a driver's license, everybody is riding what? A bicycle. And our neighborhoods are not safe for our bicycles and our kids. And we really want to participate in the activities that Sidewalk Stompers, he was here earlier, in regards to walking to school on Wednesday or riding our bikes. And we just can't do that. So we're really, our neighborhood association is really asking the city of Tampa, the county of Hillsborough, FDOT, and everyone else involved to assist our neighborhoods in making sure that our kids can enjoy it how I did as a child, you know, being able to ride my bicycle. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, we have one more person who has signed up to speak in person, and that's Mr. Gary Cloyd.
Okay, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the Transportation Planning Organization. There's a couple of things. Passenger rail in the southeast corridor of the United States is a hot topic of conversation even before the pandemic. And FDOT has been vigilant in their negotiation and engagement with Amtrak amongst other rail lines. And freight rail is getting more money thanks to the Consolidation Appropriations Act that increased funding for both transit, passenger, and freight rail. Where I'm going with this is that in March, the American Public Transportation Association is going to have their legislative conference up in D.C. And one of the things that I've advocated for in the past is that elected officials, whether it be city councilmen, city councilwomen, mayors, and county commissioners, a lot of eyes are on you, probably more magnified now, and we even have the state of Texas following these said projects. And some of those public investments in these private entities could be a huge factor. And a lot of these organizations and companies that are moving to Tampa and the Tampa Bay region are going to be looking for alternatives. And prior to me coming up here to speak, I will tell you that overlooking the city of Tampa, what is visionary to people on this board? It'll only go as far as you want it to. The more people see you in Washington, D.C. and Tallahassee, the better off this region's going to be. And I think it's been met with some resistance. We have a lot of people that are anti-rail. We have a lot of people that are anti-transit. And I take all that into consideration. But the bottom line is that elected officials have been charged with that task. And you can thank former Mayor Bob Buckhorn for leading that charge in some respects, because now the Riverwalk is getting that extension, right? So a lot of things you take. Every project is important. Even the sidewalk improvement plan that was done by the county last year, increasing it from $550,000 to $5 million, that is going to play a huge impact on how you get funding at the federal and state level. And Happy New Year and congratulations to the new board members. Thank you.
And thank you. Do we have any other speakers? No. Okay. Thanks everyone for coming and sharing your comments with this board. At this time, I'm going to ask Ms. Alderman if she would return to the mic and recognize the Honorable Kimberly Overman, the presentation.
So I'm so glad you were able to join us. We have a certificate of appreciation presented to Kimberly Overman in recognition of your commitment and dedication to improving transportation for our community in 4 years of service as a member of the TPO board.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Madam Chair, is there time for a couple of words?
2 minutes, please.
Okay, I'll keep it short.
Okay, thank you.
I thank you very much for this appreciation. I have spent 36 years working on transportation in this region and had the pleasure of serving on the Board of County Commission and on the TPO as chair of the TMA and as vice chair of HART. Transportation has been in my blood. Moving here from the DC area gave me a key understanding of how critically important our transportation resources are and the investments in our community to our overall economy. And this board this planning agency has a big task ahead of it. And your partners, your governmental partners, including our Secretary Gwen, have a lot of implementing to do. So I just want to say thank you so much for not only recognizing the work that I did while I was in office, but to let you know that this is something that's in my heart, and it's not something that I would just sort of put away because I'm no longer in office. And I want to thank you very much for that opportunity to serve. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have committee reports and advance comments. Bill Roberts.
Good morning, Madam Chairman,
Good
members
morning.
of the TPO Board. I'm Bill Roberts. I am the recently unelected chairman of your Citizens Advisory Committee, and I will be happy to attend those meetings as Rick Fernandez takes over as chairman of the CAC. Our report this month is that the CAC held its regular meeting on January 4th. We did have an in-person quorum, and that was our first meeting to be held in the evening. You may be aware that the CAC has agreed to move its meetings to 6 p.m. in the evening each month in order to facilitate and accommodate an increase in membership and greater participation by the committee. The meeting went very well. I'm pleased to report that for the first time in at least 5 months, we got out early from the evening meeting. The action items that were taken at the CAC were the approval of the letter that is going to come before you today regarding the FDOT and the FTE work program that was approved by a vote of 7-5 by the CAC. We also approved the multimodal level of service report, which was presented, and we approved the Citizens Advisory Committee demographic and geographic review plan, which you've taken a look at previously, and I think you'll be taking some action on that one soon. As you've become aware, we elected new officers. I am pleased to recommend Rick Fernandez as your new CAC chair, and I'm sure he'll be giving you good monthly reports on our meetings. If I may, I want to thank a few people for the last 4 or 5 years as chair. It's been quite a pleasure to represent the Aviation Authority on your Citizens Advisory Committee. I want to thank Joe Lopano and Gina Evans, of course, and I want to thank the TPO staff for the great support they have given us. Rich Clarendon, Beth, of course, and we have a good staff here. Rely on them, and they have been very supportive of your Citizens Advisory Committee. But I want to say that we have a lot of challenges before us in this county. You have a Citizens Advisory Committee, and you have the opportunity to make appointments, and if you have not made those appointments, I encourage you to do so. The citizens of the committee, the citizens of the community have expressed that they want improvement. They want us to do better. We hear that at almost every meeting, and so I'm sure you'll be hearing recommendations come from the CAC in order to do that. With no action, the transportation and the transit conditions in our county will get worse. I look forward to participating to the extent I can in helping this process move forward, and I thank you again for your attention. I'll be happy to take any questions if you have any, Madam Chairman.
Yes. Commissioner
Bill,
Cohen.
I just want to take this opportunity, having served as chair for an awful lot of the time that you were making these reports every single month. I want to thank you very much for your service, and also just point out to everyone that, you know, the conversations in here get pretty robust sometimes, and they do at the CAC as well. And you have really been a steward through some very rough waters of a lot of very difficult discussions. And you've always, I think, maintained a tremendous equilibrium in trying to present to us the various different sides of the story on the different issues that have come up. And I want to express, I think, all of our appreciation for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Cohen. That's very, very encouraging. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you again. Davita Franklin.
Good morning. I'm Davita Franklin with the Hillsborough TPO, and here is your summary of committee reports and public comments. So pertaining to your action items, the Florida Department of Transportation, also known as FDOT, their tentative work program and TPO comments were approved by the Technical Advisory Committee, the Transportation Disadvantaged Coordinating Board, and the Intelligent Transportation Systems Committee. Pertaining to your status reports, the multimodal level of service report that was previously reviewed in October by the Technical Advisory Committee, the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and the Livable Roadways Committee. There are also 2 additional committee reports that I do just want to quickly summarize. These meetings took place within the past week and a half, and these are for the Technical Advisory Committee and the Intelligent Transportation Systems Committee. So for the Technical Advisory Committee, they did hold a workshop on functional classification of roadways, which included a report on the changing urbanized area as a result of the census, federal and state progress, and updates on Hillsborough County and the city of Tampa's side. And then for the Intelligent Transportation Systems Committee, they did set meeting dates for 2023, and they approved their calendar. They held elections of officers, and they viewed a presentation from the city of Tampa on their new micro-mobility app called Move It. That's an app for multimodal trip planning, and it's a pilot program on how the city can help to connect the first and last mile of folks using the transit system. And then they did receive a presentation from the Florida Department of Transportation on the value and functionality of a new regional data platform called the Suncoast Mobility Hub, which is will be available early this year. For your summary of public comments, we did not receive any comments pertaining to today's consent agenda or your status reports. However, I do want to make you aware that we did receive over a dozen comments in reaction to a post that we shared about the Florida Department of Transportation's upcoming Community Conversations open house on design changes for the I-4, I-275 downtown interchange safety and operational improvements project. So many of the folks did state that they were opposed to any further design changes to the project, and or they just referred to their original dislike for highway expansion. So these comments are in the packet that Cheryl Wilkinen sent to you yesterday evening. And these are comments from social media, but that packet does include comments that we received by email as well. And this concludes my report, and now Ms. Alden will give an update on the meeting and workshop that just occurred. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Alden.
Thank you, ma'am. The Policy Committee met in a workshop with no action items and heard from the City of Tampa, Hillsborough County, and Florida DOT about steps being taken to reduce injuries and deaths on our major roadway network. There was a lot of great information presented. Those presentation slides are posted up on our website on the calendar page for today's Policy Committee meeting. And that is all providing a lot of great background for our review next month of our crash performance statistics and goals for the coming year. Thank you.
Thank you. This time we have our consent agenda. Oh, thank you. You have Commissioner Kemp? Yeah, thank you. Okay, our consent agenda.
And Madam Chair, we have had a request to remove one item from the consent agenda for discussion. That's item B.
Okay. No. Thank you. We have a motion?
Move to approve the remaining consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved by Mayor Ross and second by, I think I heard both city councilmen. Okay. Maniscalco and Citro. Have a roll call vote?
Just to be clear, this is on the committee
Consent.
appointments, correct?
Committee okay, we need to do the committee appointments.
Is the motion to approve the committee appointments only?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Mayor Ross?
Yes.
Commissioner Owen?
Yes.
Commissioner Wastel?
Yes.
Commissioner Cohen?
Yes.
Commissioner Kemp?
Yes.
Councilmember Citro?
Yes.
Councilmember Hurtak?
Yes.
Councilmember Maniscalco?
Yes.
Mayor Kilton?
Yes.
Board Member Vaughn?
Yes.
Charles Klug?
Yes.
Gina Evans?
Yes.
Greg Slater?
Yes.
Adelie LeGrand?
Yes.
Planning Commissioner Soraya?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. No action items. Report from FDOT. Ms. Otto? Yes. Go ahead. Of the removal? Go ahead.
So the item that we pulled from the consent agenda was a CAC bylaws amendment. This is the amendment that was presented last month. There have been no changes since that time. The presentation slides are in your agenda packet. Are there some questions about the amendment?
Yes, Madam Chair, I had it removed. It's really about timing. I know that my office itself just received the link and instructions on how to appoint from my seat representation in the CAC. I don't know if Commissioner Owen was able to had that earlier because he was elected back in August. So I just feel like something that's going to affect people that I'm just getting an opportunity to appoint that haven't yet been able to offer their opinion and advice on something that's going to govern them for 3 years. It just needs to wait until after the newly elected appointments move on there. I'm more of looking for a motion to table it until a later meeting, not kill the changes.
Okay. When we say later meeting, when? So we'll know when it's coming back up.
How long does the appointment process usually take for, I know I have 2 applicants in and I'm pretty much drilled down. Do we know how long it takes to get them appointed? Will that allow them to actually attend at least 1 CAC meeting so they can offer input on these recommended changes, or does it need to be 2 meetings?
We can confirm them at our next month board meeting. They would not be able to vote until the March meeting of the CAC.
Perfect. So table it until, my request is to push it until after they've had at least an opportunity to move in and vote once on these recommended changes. That's it.
Okay.
I'll second.
Commissioner Cohen?
Just for clarification, so are you looking at bringing it back like in May? Is that?
Or March, I don't know when their CAC meeting falls. If they're able to attend the March meeting and that's before our TPO meeting, then that's perfectly fine as well. So we can table it until March.
March.
I'll make that motion to table item 7B until the March TPO board meeting.
Do we have a second?
A second.
Okay. Have a motion by Commissioner Wastel, second by, Commissioner Owens and Mayor Ross, your comments, please.
Thank you. I just need a clarification maybe from staff. Did I hear correctly that they've already changed their meeting schedule? Isn't that part of the bylaws change is the scheduling change, but they've already gone ahead and done that, is that correct?
The time of the meeting is not set in the bylaws, so the committee members can determine the best time.
Okay, all right. So the bylaws changes, if I remember correctly, is the expansion of the board
Additional seats,
and
correct.
different, okay, all right, gotcha.
Thank you.
Okay, are we ready to vote now? Gail, can you do a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Mayor Ross?
Yes.
Commissioner Owen?
Yes.
Commissioner Wastel?
Yes.
Commissioner Cohen?
Yes.
Commissioner Kemp?
Yes.
Councilmember Citro?
Yes.
Councilmember Hurtak?
Yes.
Councilmember Maniscalco?
Yes.
Mayor Kilton?
Yes.
Board Member Vaughn?
Yes.
Charles Klug?
Yes.
Gina Evans?
Yes.
Greg Slater? Adelie LeGrand?
Yes.
Thank you, Planning Commissioner Soraya.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. And now we'll move to our action items. Have a presentation by FDOT.
I believe we have Suzanne Monk from FTOT District 7 this morning
Okay.
to present the tentative work program.
Yes, ma'am. Ooh, hold on. I think Gail is going to run my slides for me. But good morning. My name is Suzanne Monk with the Florida Department of Transportation.
Can you hold on one second,
Sure.
please? You said,
It's actually Cheryl who has already shared the slides.
Oh, okay.
okay.
Sorry. Again, my name is Suzanne Monk, and I'm with the Florida Department of Transportation. I'm going to be sharing the tentative work program with you for fiscal year 24 through 28. And there's a lot of information in this presentation, so I respectfully ask that questions come at the end, and I would be happy to answer any questions at that time.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, as I said, today we're going to talk about the tentative work program, and I'm just going to give you a little walkthrough on the work program update process. So currently, we're in fiscal year 23 through 27. And the tentative work, the work program is a 5-year financial plan for the department, which includes various project phases that include public transit, seaport, design, transportation, ITS, information technology systems, right-of-way, and et cetera. Next slide. Currently, we are in the adopted tentative work program. Next slide. I think somebody PDF'd this, so I'm going to apologize because there was some animation. So on the first year, can you hit the next slide? Okay, so I'm just going to kind of ad lib. So in July 30th of every fiscal year, the first year will fall off, and the second year will become the new first year. And so right now we're looking at fiscal year 24 will be the new first year, and the new fifth year will be fiscal year 28. When we're looking at adding new projects to the fifth year, we're looking at the Florida transportation goals and the statewide programs along with the local priorities. Next slide. Okay, next slide too. Okay, as I said, today it is currently tentative, so we are in the process. This presentation is going to outline the first 5 years, which this is, again, like I said, fiscal year 24 through 28, and most new projects will be in fiscal year 28. So this is going to be proposed to the Florida Legislative, and during their session, they will review it, and then it will go to the governor for review and approval. Next slide. At which time, after the governor signs the work program, this will become adopted and active July 1st of 2023. Next slide. Just a little review on how we look to program projects. First, we are going to look at preserving the existing work program. So those first 5 years, we're going to look at and run just to make sure there's no deficits with funding and try to get all of the money for those projects that are currently in the work program, just to make sure that everything is stable. Second would be we would fund any next phases of the projects. So if we have a design project, we would look to see if it needs right-of-way funded next or construction next. And then thirdly, we would look at adding any new projects. Next slide. Now, when we are looking to add new projects, we are programming a lot of them off of the MPO priority list, as well as the Suncoast Transportation Planning Alliance regional priorities, which includes a multi-trail priority list as well. And then also we are working off of the FDOT and the CIS priorities. Next slide. Okay, so the next couple pages are going to be the listings of the different projects that we've chosen to highlight for you guys today. All of these projects are either new projects that have been added to the work program, newly funded phases. We will talk about if there's any deferrals of projects, and then any projects of interest. So at this time, I just want to mention, if you know of a previously programmed project and it's not mentioned today, nothing has changed, just means that everything is the same. Next slide. So first up is the number one TPO priority, which is transportation planning. So we added funds for planning in fiscal year 28. Next slide. This is our transit slide. Again, these are high priorities on the tentative, the TPO's priority list. The HART facility construction, we added funding in fiscal year 24, 25, and 26. I believe you saw that in previous board meetings when there was a tip-stip. HART bus stop capital repairs, we added capital funds in fiscal year 28. And then HART bus replacements, we added capital grant in fiscal year 28 as well. Next slide. The next two are going to be City of Plant City, Marshall Middle School sidewalk, and Tomlin Middle School sidewalk. This was a LAP request for transportation alternative funding. And we are going to be able to add the design of these sidewalks in 24 and the construction in 27. And the department, since the City of Plant City is not LAP certified, will be implementing these projects on their behalf. The last one on this slide is Hillsborough County sidewalk gaps. Construction was added in 28, but a little background on this one. The department is currently working on analyzing sidewalk gaps throughout the district. We are about 70% through the analysis, and then we are going to work with the TPO to prioritize which ones are on the high injury network and look at filling in those gaps. So we're hoping to start later this year with the design, but we will be coordinating more with the board. Next slide. And Fowler Avenue from 56th Street to east of I-75. I know this is Mayor Ross's project. We were able to get the design in fiscal year 24 and the construction in 28, and this is for the sidewalk on the north side of the road. Green Artery segment E and D. These are City of Tampa priorities as well as the TPOs. We were able to add construction funding in 24, and these are transportation alternative funds. Next slide. Next up is complete street projects. We were able to advance West Bush from North Down Mabry to Nebraska from, I believe it was 27 to 26. Next is the North Tampa, North Florida from Florabraska to Palm. We were able to add design funding in fiscal year 24. And then the last one on this slide is Lois Avenue from West Cleveland to Boy Scout. This again is another transportation alternative LAP project for the City of Tampa, and we were able to add construction in fiscal year 28. Next slide. These are operation projects. Boy Scout Boulevard from east of Manhattan to Manhattan. This is a new signal at the intersection. Construction was added in fiscal year 24, and the design is currently underway. Also, we added US 301 at Harney, Stacy, and McIntosh. We were able to, these are going to be new intersections, lights at these intersections. Construction will be in fiscal year 24. And then US 301 at Palm River Road. This was a county incentive grant program that Hillsborough County applied for at this intersection, and we were able to give construction funding in fiscal year 26. Next slide. And then a few more operation projects. I-75 from Gibsonton Drive. We were able to advance the PE to fiscal year 24, and this is going to be the new DDI project. And then lastly, Big Bend Road from US 41 to Covington Garden to US 301. We were able to work with Hillsborough County to get the TRIP funding, which is Transportational Regional Incentive Program funds, added in 24 to get this project constructed. Next slide. As you know, there are some technical changes coming. We have an EV program. I believe April Combs has presented to either you or the policy committee previously. There are two projects on here, I-4 EV charging deployment, and US 41 at State Road 60 EV charging deployment. They're both on here for capital and operations. Currently, the department is going to issue an RFP to a third party to build, install, and operate and maintain these facilities for the charging deployment. And we're gonna have more specific information at a later date as to where exactly these will be located. But as you know, more information coming on these. And then the I-4 truck parking facility, construction was added in fiscal year 25, thanks to the department receiving an infra grant. Next slide. So this is a total funding over 5 years of a little over $2 billion. And then the breakdown for the MPO, transportation operations, and et cetera. I do like to point out that the bike ped does look a little low. Based on the way that the work program is set up, we can't pull that exact number. Sometimes, a lot of times, those are all standard. The 18.67 million is standard, nothing but bike ped improvements. There are bike ped improvements built in with the capacity, the resurfacing, and other projects as well. Next slide. So as you know, January 22nd is the deadline for MPO objections, and I know that you guys have a letter that's already been drafted, so we should be good with that. And then spring of 2023, the legislature session will review it, and the FTC, and then the governor will look at it, and then we will have the adoption of the work program July 1st. Next slide. As always, we want to thank you for your time, and at this time, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. Sorry, the slide says December for public comment, but we're here for your comments today so that we can go ahead and answer those questions.
And we thank you for your presentation. Commissioner Cohen, you have comments?
No.
Okay, so it's on your mic on.
Oh, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
Commissioner, okay. Any questions from anyone? Okay, Mayor Ross.
Thank you, Ms. Monk. Appreciate this. So concerning the project on Fowler Avenue, I have a couple of questions. One is, and maybe I just have my wires crossed, but I could have swore that section was slated for construction in FY27, which really begins in summer of 26. So did I get that wrong, or did this project get postponed a year?
So we're not sure at this time, because we haven't started the design, if there's going to be any right-of-way clips that we're going to need. So we put it in the fiscal year 28, which will be July of 27, right? I think. And so we do have money set aside for the right-of-way at this time. We're hoping that we won't need it, and we are actively looking at bringing this project in because we know how important it is to the city and the TPO.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I did speak with Beth on Friday, and we're going to work with our project manager to go ahead and get you the schedule. So I'll be getting that to you this week.
Okay, thank you. And that kind of segues into question number 2, and that is some things have happened, particularly with the construction of the USF Stadium now, that wasn't really on the table so much before. I don't have the timetable of that, obviously, but it's coming. And so I know that the Fowler Avenue project involves a rework of the whole road. You're going to change the lanes and the medians and everything, and part of that process will be to construct a multi-purpose trail on the north side of Fowler Avenue. My question, and you may not be prepared to answer this on the spot, I get that, and I don't mean to gotcha.
You're fine.
But my question is, maybe we can have some further discussion. I don't know whether this is something that's even something that can be considered or not. Is there any opportunity to break the trail apart from the overall road construction and at least build, if not the whole trail, at least part of it, perhaps from Raintree to USF? I know ultimately it's going to go a lot further, but the construction of the stadium, and Mosey's going through some renaissance also, so there's a lot more connection between Temple Terrace and at least as far as USF. And so I don't know if that's, if it's too far down the funnel to have that talk, or whether that's something that could be discussed.
I will have to check with Justin Hall and the project manager just to get some clarification. I don't have that response. Oh, he's with us. Hold on one moment.
Justin Hall, FDOT. Once we're done with the feasibility, if we don't need the right-of-way, we can advance the trail. So the first thing is just really determining what we need for the trail, because it's some of the utilities and driveway clips. So if we can get around those and we can build the trail without it, that's a pretty low dollar ask. So I think we could definitely facilitate that, assuming we don't run any kind of snags. So.
Okay, thank you. We'll talk
Yep.
offline.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kemp?
Thank you. I was just wondering as to Mayor Ross's question, coming up with the status reports with Fowler Avenue Studies right there, are we, something like he raises, is that going to be part of this conversation coming up? Ms. Alden, I guess?
So we will have a presentation about the PD&E study that's ongoing. I don't know that that will include, you know, an actual analysis of what right-of-way is going to be needed at specific intersections for the trail. So I think that is something that we'll have to come back with a little bit more information about
Great,
in
thanks.
the future.
Thank you, Commissioner Kemp. Any more questions? Anyone else? Okay.
We do have the Florida Turnpike Enterprise representative with us as well. They just have one project in our county in their new tentative work program, but they've taken the time to be with us this morning. And
okay. Good morning.
Mr. Xiaoxi Fine.
Good morning. My name is Xiaoxi Fine, and I'm with the Florida's Turnpike Enterprise. Today, I'll be presenting our tentative work program for fiscal years 2024 through fiscal year 2028. So in Hillsborough County, the Turnpike is proposing to fund $34 million in major projects. So what I'll be presenting today is actually based on this green document, which is actually part of your agenda, or there's a handout in the back of the room that you can also receive. But whether you listen to my presentation or you read the information in the document, it should be the same. Okay, so Florida's Turnpike, we have facilities in 6 FDOT districts and 19 counties. In Hillsborough County, we have the I-4 connector, which is actually between the I-4 and the Selman Expressway. We have the Veterans Expressway, and we have the Suncoast Parkway. There's a little portion that's north of the Veterans Spur and just south of the border, the line between Pasco and Hillsborough, and that's still considered the Suncoast Parkway. So parts of the Turnpike main line have been around since 1957. However, the Florida's Turnpike Enterprise is fairly new. We've been around for 20 years, since 2002. About 21 now, but as one FDOT team, we follow the department's vision and mission as we help meet the state's transportation needs, ensuring value to customers, protecting investors, and managing the Turnpike system in a business-like manner. So 20 years operations, what have we seen through those 20 years? A couple things we've seen is the population of Florida has actually gone up 31%. Registered vehicles on the roadways has actually gone up 37%. And then specific to the Turnpike, we've seen an 80% jump of vehicle miles traveled on the Turnpike system. So to meet the transportation needs in Florida, the Turnpike primarily receives funding through user tolls and concessions received at our service plazas. According to our bond covenants, the Turnpike must first pay for operations and maintenance costs. This includes the cost to collect and process toll payments. Then after that, we must pay off debt on bonds issued to construct major projects. It should be noted that due to our high credit rating, the Turnpike has historically benefited from some of the lowest borrowing costs in the toll industry. After that, we pay for our renewal and replacement projects. These are resurfacing projects or projects that include recurring improvements to roadways. And then finally, we pay for capital improvements. And of course, these are interchange and our widening projects. But the Turnpike has various ways of determining how projects get funded depending on project type. Of course, projects must demonstrate a transportation need. And through that need, we prioritize that project accordingly. Each year, we look at observed traffic data and future projections across the entire Turnpike system. Of course, we look at environmental and economic feasibility. But most importantly, we collect stakeholder input. which we take very seriously. So we have one project in the tentative work program in Hillsborough County. Of course, that project is the resurfacing of the Veterans Expressway from milepost 1.4 to milepost 7.5. Of course, you can see it on the map on the screen, and it's that yellow portion in Hillsborough County moving north. So this project actually has construction funding in fiscal year 2026. But of course, this is our only project. But before I leave this document, I actually want to speak a little bit about enhancements that we've done to this document, just for its readability and when folks read it, that they understand what's going on in their areas. So on page 1 of this document, you'll actually see that top table. So these are all current construction projects. So these projects are actually under construction now or will be under construction in the current fiscal year, which is fiscal year 2023. And then on the last page. So on the last page, there is also another table. So these projects actually have PD&E, design, and right-of-way funding, but they do not have construction funding associated with these projects. So they're not part of the main tables. And of course, these are things that you can look forward to in the future, that when they have associated construction funding, that they will be part of the main tables of our tentative work program summary. And this PD&E, the first PD&E on this page, that goes from Van Dyke Road to north of State Road 52. So part of this goes from Hillsborough County to Pasco County. This PD&E will be kicking off pretty soon, but I'll let you know in the future what happens with that PD&E. But with that being said, for more information on all projects in the Turnpike Tentative Work Program, you can visit the FDOT Work Program Public Hearing website, which was actually in Suzanne's presentation, the last presentation that you saw on the final slide. And download the District 7 Public Hearing Report when it becomes available. I haven't seen the page yet. I'm not sure if the report's available yet. I'm sure it is, but when it's available, you can see our major projects and our minor projects included in that report. But with that being said, I'd like to thank you all for allowing me to present to you. And if there are any questions or concerns, I'll take them now.
And thank you for your presentation. Commissioner Kim.
I have a quick question. I don't know if you can answer this off the top of your head, but I was just curious, toll operations, the collection of tolls, what percentage of the budget is that?
So that's a very specific question. That's some information that I can go back and get from my team and then relay it back to you.
Okay, I'd just be curious how that allocation comes in. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, then we'll hear from Oh, no, okay. Then we'll hear from, go ahead, Beth.
Yes, Vishaka Raman of my staff will speak very briefly about the letter of comment. Vishaka?
Good morning, TPO board. Good morning, committee members. Thank you. This is Vishaka Shivraman, TPO staff. I'm here to present to you the letter of comments, which is in your agenda packet today. Can I please bring the letter?
Vishaka, I don't have the letter up.
Okay, that's fine. So I'll just quickly go over the letter based on the notes that I have here. It should be on your agenda packet. I don't have a presentation associated with it, but I would just like to quickly go over and summarize what we have put together in the letter. We would firstly like to thank FDOT for the partnership that we have and for advancing some of the projects in our TPO priority list from last year. And some of those projects you had seen in Suzanne's presentation today. The projects that I would specifically like to mention, which were on our top priority list, were the safety projects and the ones related to Bush Boulevard from Dale Mabry to Nebraska Avenue, the projects on Heights Mobility on Tampa and Florida. The signal projects that were on US 301 on Henry, Stacy, and McIntosh. The safety project on Boy Scout and Manhattan, where some of the safety projects that were on our top priority list, which have been added this year, so we are thankful for that. Also, the sidewalk projects on Plant City, Tomlin and Marshall Middle School, they were also on our top priority list, so thank you for approving that. Some of the projects regarding HART and State of Good Repair would be the top priority for HART, which was their heavy maintenance facility. This has been in the tentative work program, as you saw it. And also the projects for hard vehicle replacement and buying new vehicles, and also the bus stop capital repairs. The projects which are in the real choice category, trails category, where the green artery segments D and D, and also some of the sidewalk projects. We would also like to mention here the West Shore Interchange project that was advanced as of last year is moving on to the subsequent phases. And also the Sun Trail Gap for identifying and funding some of the gaps. Those were some of the projects that we would like to see and are in the tentative work program. With that, I would request if the board can approve this this letter and proceed it.
Do we have any comments before we vote to receive the letter?
Action item A.
Second.
It's been properly moved to move action item A, and second by Commissioner Cohen, and the motion made by Councilman Maniscalco. Please record the vote. Gail, can you do a roll call vote for us, please?
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Mayor Ross?
Yes.
Commissioner Owen?
Yes.
Commissioner Wastel?
Yes.
Commissioner Cohen?
Yes.
Commissioner Kemp?
Yes.
Councilmember Citro?
Yes.
Councilmember Hurtak?
Yes.
Councilmember Maniscalco?
Yes.
Mayor Kilton?
Yes.
Board Member Vaughn?
Yes.
Charles Klug?
Yes.
Gina Evans?
Yes.
Greg Slater? Yes. Adelie LeGrand?
Yes.
Planning Commissioner Soraya?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we move on to the status reports. Okay, so FDOT. Okay, Jay, who's coming?
Good morning, board and committee members. Jay Collins. I'm the Special Area Studies Manager for the Planning Commission. And as Cheryl brings up the PowerPoint that we're going to discuss today, I just wanted to take a few seconds to introduce this. I'm joined today by Ms. Amber Russo from the Florida Department of Transportation, as well as Mr. Jesus Garcia with the Hillsborough Area Regional Transit Service. What we're going to talk about are 3 specific projects that are operating in the Fowler Avenue corridor and some of the synergy that we have between them, and how that synergy translates into basically a best practice for linking land use and transportation. So what are those 3 that we're going to talk about? First is an arterial BRT that we have, and that arterial BRT, headed by the Hillsborough Area Regional Transit Authority, leaves downtown Tampa, traversing up through the central district of Tampa into Fowler Avenue. Then how does it travel? Well, part of the way it will travel through an enhanced and rebuilt Fowler Avenue that the Florida Department of Transportation can speak to. And then lastly, something that we strive at the Planning Commission is when we have these large facility improvements, such as on Fowler Avenue, and these catalyst projects, such as we have with a BRT line, how can we look at some of the land use challenges and opportunities that we have along Fowler Avenue? And we've already had a little bit of conversation this morning about Fowler Avenue, so it's great that we're teeing it up this way. And so with that, I would like to bring up Ms. Amber Russo from the Florida Department of Transportation. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay, for that introduction. Good morning, Madam Chair, board members. Like Jay mentioned, my name is Amber Rousseau. I'm representing the Florida Department of Transportation as a project manager for this PD&E study along Fowler Avenue. Next slide, please. So today I'm going to be presenting the project's kickoff information. We kicked it off a couple months ago. Next slide. So the study begins in Tampa at North Florida Avenue and ends in the city of Temple Terrace, just west of North 56th Street, which is a distance of approximately 4 miles. The purpose of the PD&E study is to address safety, reduce traffic congestion, and improve multimodal accommodations. Improvements being studied include enhanced bicycle and pedestrian facilities, a transit corridor, and innovative intersections. Next, please. Like Jay mentioned, several studies are being conducted on and adjacent to Fowler Avenue, and you will hear from those first 2 studies after my presentation. Next, please. This slide shows all crashes that have occurred in the project corridor for the 5-year period from 2015 through 2019. As the graphic reveals, there were over 3,300 crashes, with 75% of those occurring at 10 specific intersections. 53 of the crashes were considered severe, resulting in 46 incapacitating injuries and 9 fatalities. Next, please. All 9 of those fatalities involved a pedestrian or bicyclist. In total, there were 120 crashes, resulting in the 9 fatalities and 17 incapacitating injuries. These crashes represent 51% of all severe crashes in the corridor. Approximately 88 of the total 120 crashes, which is 73%, occurred between Nebraska Avenue and Bruce B. Downs Boulevard, which is where we are proposing the transit corridor. I also want to mention that the segment along Fowler Avenue from Nebraska to North 52nd Street is listed on the City of Tampa's high injury network. Next, please. So taking a look at Fowler Avenue today, from Nebraska Avenue to Bruce B. Downs Boulevard, it's currently an 8-lane facility divided with numerous median left turn lanes. There are 7-foot bike lanes and 5-foot sidewalks on each side of the roadway. Next, please. In the eastern segment from Bruce B. Downs Boulevard to 56th Street, Fowler is a 6-lane divided roadway with the 7-foot bike lanes and 5-foot sidewalks continued. Next, please. Now we'll take a look at the 3 alternatives for the transit corridor, which is proposed from Nebraska Avenue to Bruce B. Downs Boulevard. Alternative number 1 includes repurposing the existing outside lanes as bat lanes, which are used for business access and transit, meaning these lanes would be marked for bus use and for vehicles making a right turn into a business or a side street. This alternative also includes 12-foot shared use paths along both sides of Fowler, and based on preliminary analysis, minimal right-of-way acquisition may be required. Next, please. Alternative number 2 is the frontage road concept. The frontage lanes would be located parallel to and separate from the mainline Fowler Avenue. They'd be utilized by non-transit vehicles and would provide access to local businesses. Vehicles on the main line can access the frontage lanes via slip ramps and vice versa. Transit vehicles would utilize the outside bat lanes on the main line. Shared use paths or wider sidewalks would be located adjacent to the frontage lanes, and minimal right-of-way acquisition may be required. Next, please. The third and final alternative includes a median guideway, which would be used for transit vehicles only. Stops would be located near intersections and crosswalks to allow for safer pedestrian access to the transit line. Non-transit vehicles would be permitted to make turns at designated intersections and locations. This concept also includes the shared use paths on both sides, and based on preliminary analysis, minimal right-of-way acquisition may be required. Next, please. As previously mentioned, the design of Fowler Avenue has user safety first and foremost. Narrower travel lanes and other proven traffic calming strategies are being considered. To accommodate these measures, the speed limit on Fowler Avenue may be reduced. Also, from Bruce B. Downs Boulevard to Bull Run Drive, innovative intersection alternatives will be studied. as well as pedestrian bicycle facilities will be enhanced throughout the entire corridor. Next, please. Innovative intersections are intended for major streets with higher volumes of traffic like Fowler Avenue. They modify vehicle, pedestrian, and bicycle movements at conventional intersections to reduce delay, increase efficiency, and provide safer travel for all road users. The FDOT manual on intersection control evaluation will be utilized to determine the best possible intersection designs, which include R-cuts, displaced left turns, through cuts, and single loops. Next, please. Public engagement is underway and will continue through the duration of the study. This study kickoff presentation was previously given to all requested TPO committees in November and December of last year. The project kickoff newsletters in your packets were mailed to property owners along the corridor and sent to stakeholders. The project website is active and will be updated continually throughout the study. Small group meetings will be held with interested community groups within and adjacent to the study area. Also, an alternatives public workshop will be held once the alternatives are evaluated, and then a public hearing may be held depending on the preferred alternative. Next, please. As the schedule shows, public involvement will occur throughout the study. We are wrapping up our data collection and alternatives development is underway. The alternatives public workshop is anticipated for May of this year, and then if necessary, the public hearing would be held towards the end of this year. Next, please. This is the final slide for the PD&E study. I have on here the project website for more information, as well as my contact information. If the board is ready, I will turn it over to Hart, or I'd be happy to take questions on the PD&E now.
We'll go ahead and turn it over to Hart, and then we'll come back at the end and ask questions.
Alrighty, I'd like to introduce Jesus with Hart.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, Amber. Good morning, Madam Chair, board members, Ms. Alden, fellow public servants, and members of the public. I am with Hart staff. My name is Jesus. I'll spare you from my two-word, very long last name. I would butcher it if it wasn't mine. No Mr., no Miss, Jesus is fine. So I'm here to provide an update on the BRT study, the Tampa arterial BRT, and what we have done to this point and where we are right now. Next, please. So this study came to be in the 2018-2019 timeframe, where phase one started, and it came up with the recommended or preferred alignment, which was approved by the Hart board in late 2020. In parallel with this, there's been the Hart TOD pilot project, which is intended to devise strategies and tools to implement transit-oriented development along the corridor. That study should be wrapping up anytime now. After phase one and the recommended alignment, given uncertainty around dedicated funding, there was a need to come up with a different alternative. So phase 2A started in early 21, and it came up with a lower cost alternative, which was approved by the board in early 2022, so almost a year ago, and instructed staff to proceed with the design of the lower cost alternative. So before getting to what that means and next steps, I wanted to provide you with some context of what this corridor looks like and what that means for Fowler. Next, please. So that's what the corridor looks like. It is the Florida-Nebraska Fowler Avenues corridor between downtown Tampa and University area. These two destinations are connected by, or I guess I should start the other way. Hart's 3 busiest bus routes connect these 2 points. And actually 2 of those 3 are the Florida and the Nebraska routes. This corridor is not just about the ends. It's not just about US 7 downtown. It's also about the middle, Tampa Heights, Seminole Heights, big neighborhoods with lots of residents and jobs. The phase one came with the recommended alignment, which was the Limbaugh Avenue crossover. That's how the route would get from Florida to Nebraska. The intent was to avoid redundancy with the Nebraska route, which is already a Metro Rapid corridor, which is essentially BRT light, just lower cost, but still some enhancements to improve travel times. So we wanted to avoid competing with that. And also, it serves the densest parts of Florida, avoiding the car dealerships north of Limbaugh, essentially, and allowing us to get to Fowler to reach the University Area Transit Center. Service is proposed to be every 10 to 15 minutes throughout the day, 19 hours a day, 7 days a week. Right now, those corridors that I mentioned, the Florida and the Nebraska route, they run every 15 minutes throughout the bulk of the day on weekdays. But then under this proposal, peak period would see a 10-minute frequency, which is proven to improve the customer experience. Next, please. So what does this look like for Fowler? I'll start by saying that all station locations are subject to further studies. This is just preliminary at this point. There are 3 stations on Fowler at 15th Street, 22nd Street, and Bruce B. Downs. There is a 4th station, but that will more than likely be on Nebraska south of Fowler. The importance of serving this area is the latent transit demand along Fowler. These are communities with high need, high concentrations of low-income population, and low vehicle ownership. There is also a lot of transit-oriented redevelopment going on in this area, the most notorious of which is the one we heard from earlier, the University Mall or Rhythm at Uptown redevelopment. And it enables important connections to from jobs at Seminole Heights, Tampa Heights, downtown Tampa, and vice versa. It allows these 3 areas to reach jobs in one of the biggest employers in the region, which is the USF and its surrounding area. Next slide, please. So what does this look like at street level? Here's where you see the difference between preferred or recommended alternative and the lower cost. The recommended alternative from phase 1 was a median running bus-only lanes. This proposal would tentatively has a cost of $57 million capital and $3 to $5 million operating. Another caveat to these 2 alternatives is that this is from the BRT study. The FDOT PD&E would look further into this, refine these numbers. This is like baby diaper where we're still growing up to like fully developed. The lower cost alternative, given the big capital price tag of the recommended alternative, is curbside running bad lanes, which, as Amber explained, our buses and cars do mix in this lane, so travel time is not as efficient for the transit riders. The capital cost is around the $15 million mark, and the operating is around the same as the recommended alternative. There is a $40 million gap between the 2 options. There is also 7-minute one-way difference. So the reason why the operating cost is somewhat higher on the lower cost alternative is because it takes longer. It takes 7 minutes longer one way. So the longer you take, the longer, more fuel, more labor, more bus hours, etc. So the next steps, please the next slide. So that's what we've done to this point. Right now we are negotiating the scope of work for phase 2B, which would include the design of the lower cost alternative. After that, we would go to permitting, public engagement, funding matches from federal, state, and regional partners, and construction. There is no defined implementation timeframe at this point, given there is no dedicated funding identified for providing the local match. There is, however, a piecemeal approach to this. There is a south of MLK, I believe, there is the Heights FDOT study. There might be some opportunity to implement part of the BRT corridor up to downtown to MLK. There is the Fowler PDNE that FDOT is carrying out right now that would maybe provide the opportunity to fund the Fowler piece, but then there is no funding for the whole thing and for the operational enhancements. So that would be my piece. Next slide, please. Again, my name is Jesus, down on the left. Happy to take any questions, but I think the protocol indicates I yield to my friend Jay Collins at the Planning Commission to talk about the vision plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jesus. And if we could bring that PowerPoint back up, I certainly would appreciate it. Again, Jay Collins for the record. Mr. Alvaro Gabaldon is also my cohort on this. Mr. Gabaldon's a bit under the weather and decided to save all of us from the sniffles this morning. Next slide, please. So again, what are we talking about here? We're talking about the intersection of unincorporated Hillsborough County and the city of Tampa, as well as Temple Terrace. But how did we get to this? Well, there's been a lot of work that's occurred planning-wise in this area. Whether you're talking about transit corridors that have occurred in this area or the East Fowler land use study that actually brought us the land use that is on the mall, or the fact that the Innovation District has its own strategic plan, or that the University of South Florida obviously has its own master plan, there's a lot of work that has occurred. And there needs to be basically somebody to organize all of these things, think of all of these things, react to these things, and then proactively plan going forward with the communities that are out there. So why us? Why now? So economic development within Hillsborough County, as well as planning within the city of Tampa, as well as the Planning Commission, we're all partners to this as we worked with our different communities and different stakeholders in this community, and with the fact that we are looking at Fowler being redeveloped as well as the BRT coming online, we decided that this was the now to actually have this type of a planning project in this area. So the unique land use challenges, we'll talk a little bit about that, and you can see those photos right there of Fowler Avenue. I don't have a map of the actual land uses in here. It's really not needed. What you need to do is you need to think about the fact that all of us in here have actually gone down Fowler Avenue. So think about the fact on the north side of Fowler Avenue, right there in front of the mall. The moment you step out of your car, you might have actually parked in unincorporated Hillsborough County. If you go to one of those restaurants that front Fowler Avenue and you go in that front door, you're in the city of Tampa. That's a really interesting juxtaposition about the idea of actually creating a business environment in a community in that area where the business community might end up having to look at, how do I get permits in the city of Tampa? How do I get permits in unincorporated Hillsborough County? Who do I speak to? Am I rezoning both in the city of Tampa? Am I rezoning in unincorporated Hillsborough County? So it's a challenge and it's an opportunity. That's the business community. But what about the people who live there? Well, obviously, the people that live there on the north side of Fowler Avenue in unincorporated Hillsborough County might have a vision for themselves that is different, similar, or not at all alike as what's going on the south side of Fowler Avenue in the city of Tampa. So we need to have those conversations with them. And finally, we talked about that synergy. Next slide, please. So develop a vision for Fowler Avenue corridor that enables an equitable redevelopment. So a vision, what is a vision? People ask that right out the gate, what's a vision plan? So each one of you in this room, whether I'm speaking to you or the folks behind me, you have a vision for your family. You have a vision for your children and your grandchildren. Now take that same thought and reply and think about it to your community. What you're basically doing at that time is you're leaving your family, you're leaving, mom and dad and those kids or those grandparents, and you're talking about the entirety of your community. The questions you ask are exactly the same. What do you want your community to be when it grows up? It's the same thing that you ask about your children and your grandchildren. And we all have to coalesce around that. Whether we are a juggernaut of the University of South Florida or just a mom or dad trying to get their kid to school in the morning. So that integrated land use and transportation vision along Fowler Avenue, we spoke a little bit about that, and then develop the clear and consistent redevelopment strategies for those jurisdictions. Again, part of this is to actually look at that vision plan. What comes out of that vision plan is a redevelopment strategy. So what are we working within? We're working within specifically the comprehensive plans for unincorporated Hillsborough County as well as the city of Tampa. So we're at that high level. We're at that comprehensive plan level. That's phase one. A phase two, if there is one, which we all hope there is, would actually look at some of the zoning implications there and how do we implement some of those actual visionary ideas through the codes of unincorporated county and through the city of Tampa. What might that look like? We don't know until we get there, but it could be the issues of overlays working along both of those corridors so that there is a unified approach to what the form might look like out there, or even perhaps a unified approach to how you develop itself going through the process. Next slide, please. So where are we? Again, we're actually looking from I-275 on the west, going all the way to the boundary of the city of Tampa and Temple Terrace, 56th Street to the east. Why, again, was because unincorporated Hillsborough County and the city of Tampa came to us, and we might be making recommendations specific to land use policies within those two jurisdictions. And you can see it's also going south and north along Fowler. The University of South Florida, of course, is incorporated into this, but we do not have it outlined here specifically because if I start taking all of that data, it throws for a loop for everything else. The idea of redevelopment potential along Fowler is skewed when I bring in several hundred acres of a master plan community. Also, what we are looking at with some of those recommendations is specific to properties that front Fowler Avenue or are approximate to Fowler Avenue. What we would be looking at with the communities north and south of Fowler are primarily how can we provide better connections to Fowler Avenue, and then what are some of the other things that they envision for their communities? What about parks? What about schools and the like? Next slide, please. So specifically, just to dive down a little bit into the area, this is an interesting area with the population, the number of households in the employment. So that's the employment that you have there today. Daytime population, this is an area much like all of the city of Tampa. Daytime population jumps up quite a bit in this area. Daytime population in the city of Tampa jumps up quite a bit because there are a number of people, whether they are coming from Brandon, Pasco, or Pinellas, to work in the city of Tampa. Also, when we were talking about transit and mobility, 1 in 4 of the households here do not have an automobile, and we'll talk a little bit of why that may be in one of the next slides. Next slide, please. Quite honestly, it's dollars. This is an area that you do not see on par with the rest of the metropolitan statistical area. If I break this down even further and start looking at census blocks and census tracts, that AMI ranks anywhere from 30% to about 80% AMI that you have there. Next slide, please. So a little bit about the public engagement, these next slides. We had a series of community workshops. We had one of them out at University Mall. Thank you again to Rhythm at Uptown for inviting us into the mall to actually have that event there. And thank you to those who attended that event. The next day we had a virtual meeting. That was back in December. That's where we spent our holidays, a lot of time in a mall. Thought I was a teenager again. Mobile Engagement Lab, as well as a Vision Toolkit. That's ongoing right now from the consultant. Again, our consultant for this is Kimberly Horn. As a matter of fact, one of the subs in this is actually in the University of South Florida School of Architecture. So that Mobile Engagement Lab, as well as the Vision Toolkit, will look at stakeholder involvement with some of these major institutions that's out there, as well as the civic and neighborhood organizations, churches that are out there, schools that are out there, and have whether they are walking, windshield surveys of the community, as well as actually developing toolkits to where moms and dads, as well as the Fortune 1000 companies that are out there, can basically pitch these ideas to one another, and it's not just the consultant and staff needing to do it. Next slide, please. This is just some signs that we put out in the community, again in English and Spanish, our public engagement strategies. Every single property owner was notified out there. We have, of course, a website. We have surveys that are ongoing out there. And we lean on our community and our stakeholder partners to get the word out. We look forward later on this month actually going and having a conversation with the UACDC. Next slide, please. Again, this is just diving down a little bit more into some of that timelines, which I talked about with the mobile engagement, some of the stakeholder. And again, a community workshop number 2, July or August, which will actually be able to show some of our draft proposals. We also look forward to going with DOT, as DOT has come with us in heart, to some of each other's public engagement strategies so that we're there to learn from that process, as well as to answer any questions that are within our lane. Next slide, please. Again, a little bit of our own timeline. One of the things that we certainly hope out of this is the next time that we are in front of this body or any other body, we can integrate some of these timelines between the 3 partners. Next slide, please. Again, this just shows you some of those outcomes that we talked about. So again, that outcome as a deliverable are policies within the comprehensive plans of the 2, a strategic action plan for how we would actually tackle some of that within the zoning, as well as the redevelopment plan itself. Next slide, please. Again, we do have a website for this. You can go there, you can sign up for updates, and you can find out about some of the next steps. Next slide, please. Again, just showing where we are. Next slide, please. And again, that's me, that's Alvaro. We can be found at any time downstairs on the 18th floor. Next slide, please. And I believe that's it for me, and we can go on to the last slide, and we are available now to take any questions. I do appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Mr.
Mayor
Collins,
Ross.
I have a question. This is Mayor Ross. So this is a very interesting study, but it occurs to me that the world does not stop at 52nd Street. And this Fowler Avenue corridor, really, it's the stretch between 275 and I-75 is very much the same road. Beyond those limits, it changes dramatically. It goes into something else. And I know that every project has to have boundaries. You can't study the whole world. I get that. But it occurs to me that you're doing all this studying and acting as though the world stops at 52nd Street. You're talking about talking to all the stakeholders, the churches, the schools, looking at the parks. You're talking about zoning to making sure that the restrictions are consistent and the overlays are the same. Permitting processes, which are a hodgepodge depending on where you're. We are literally across the street. In fact, we go back and forth about who has responsibility for 52nd Street, because on one side it's Temple Terrace, the other side it's Tampa. We're literally across the street from USF along 50th Street. And I'm a little mystified as to why this is all going on as if it's not going to affect anything to the east of 52nd Street. And why you would even want that? Why wouldn't you want as much consistency as possible along this entire corridor? Because there's a lot happening along Fowler Avenue corridor in our city too. And it would certainly would behoove all of us, Tampa, Hillsborough, everybody, to be as consistent as we can be with this vision. And so I'm feeling a little left out of this, that you guys are doing this, and you know, we have some plans too. We're doing things, we're not standing still either. So it would have been very nice to have been included in this and to have some give and take with that. So thank you.
Hi. Yes, sir, Mayor. By all means, Melissa Zornita, the Executive Director with the Planning Commission.
Thank you, Melissa Zornita with the Planning Commission. At the time that we were initially scoping this study, the indications from the prior mayor and city manager were that perhaps the city of Temple Terrace should not be included, but I have had conversations with your new city manager, and he and the team there in the city are very interested and are participating in the stakeholder group for the project. And certainly any recommendations that come from the project that are applicable going further east, we will further those and include those in in the city's comprehensive plan, City of Temple Terrace's comprehensive plan. But it was sort of a timing issue of when this project got off the ground, that the direction from the city was different than it is now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Onita. Anyone else have questions? Commissioner Kemp?
Yes, and I'm not sure, but whether it's Jesus or Ms. Russo, one thing is I want to get down, and I for me, it was a little bit better, although I kind of like seeing an aerial rendering of these things, but the slide that Jesus put up on the lanes and how they travel through, because my questions are, I know you have 2 bat lane proposals, 1 and 2, and then there's the medium proposal number 3. So what I'm trying to understand a little bit is the difference, again, between the bat lane 1 and bat lane 2.
Sure. Can we pull up those slides again, please? Towards the beginning, maybe like number 7 or 8, if I had to guess. Okay, down a couple more. Okay, thank you. So alternative number 1, we're calling this one the bat lane alternative. This alternative simply repurposes the outside travel lanes into the bat lanes. So that would be a lane that would include the lane repurposing process. We'd have 2 bat lanes and the remaining 6 travel lanes. And then if you go to the next slide, please.
And the bat lanes on that would be business access, so all the, there would be cuts for everybody that wanted to turn into the different centers and the mall and everything.
Yes,
On that first one.
Yes. Okay.
And the difference between now, how it is exactly now, and that, because we have buses going along there every 15 minutes now, would be that the lane would be, you would kind of stripe it or something and ask people, drivers would, have a signal that they should not go in there unless they were ready to turn.
Correct. It would be similar to the Sunrunner BRT, if you're familiar with that project.
I am.
That just opened in St. Pete.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the next slide, alternative number 2, the frontage road concept. So this is similar to alternative 1. However, there would be one frontage lane in each direction that would be separated from the mainline Fowler via slip ramps. And so non-transit vehicles could utilize those frontage lanes to access the local businesses.
I see. So those lanes, those frontage roads would not be for transit vehicles. They would be for regular vehicles. And then there would be like an exclusive transit lane at the side?
It would still be considered a bat lane because vehicles would have to enter it to transverse between the frontage lanes and the mainline travel lanes.
Okay. And I would just say that I did travel the Sunrunner over there, as I know Commissioner Owens did too. We were there for the same trip. But, and of course, every road is different, and those roads are quite different than what Fowler Avenue is, which is really probably a lot busier. I'm guessing if we saw the numbers, that there's a lot busier roadway we're talking about, and it's a lot shorter, obviously, distance in the Sunrunner in all its configurations. So in terms of, then I wanted to go to, so thank you for that, for distinguishing on those two. And then I'd like to, Jesus, you said not to call you Mr., so just in terms of the funding, capital funding is always one thing, and capital funding is, people usually think of it as the only funding and the thing that we have to worry about most, but it's actually, relatively speaking, easier to get than our operational funding, and that's the stress on transit. So but you said the alternatives 1 and 2, if I'm correct, would the capital for that would be 57 million?
Well, yeah, our HART's recommended alternative matches FDOT's alternative number 3, and HART's 2020 study, I think I got the year right, estimated a capital cost of 57, yes.
Okay, so that's 57 you're talking about for alternative number 3.
But that is downtown to USF, the whole.
Oh, that's the whole thing. That's what I was trying to understand too
not just
about all
Fowler.
of this. So 57 million for downtown to USF is really, when we hear the figures we hear, it's really very reasonable investment, a very reasonable investment for that. And that would be the center lane recommendation, which is, I mean, it's really very much the preferred lane for transit users and also for safety on the road. When I heard those numbers, actually I'm aware that Fletcher Avenue is a high vehicle injury or a high injury street road. I was kind of stunned by the 5 years and to hear the 9 fatalities. And to hear that those fatalities, every single one involved a bicycle and a pedestrian. I have to tell you just personally, when I'm on Fowler Avenue, and I did drive it for 10 years because I worked at the university and commuted backwards from Seminole Heights to USF. But today, whenever I'm on that lane, I am just, I'm terrified for the number of people that are on the very little, and I'm sure everybody, Mayor Ross, who's up there and probably travels it quite a bit, but when you see those very little narrow bike lanes that are set aside, and inevitably what I see in those bike lanes are actually wheelchairs. And I see people struggling along there, and it's so scary and so dangerous, and I expect that as the university area changes, my hope for it, I think that's all of ours with this new vision for the mall area and what is happening there, is that we will see a huge change in a pedestrian, for more pedestrians using it, for a different kind of vision where the center lane would really provide us with the best protection, the best transit opportunities. In terms of the, you did say that the center lane does provide the bus with more, it'll be a dedicated lane, so it won't be as slow, which will be more costly, not only as you enunciate it for operations, because it'll take longer to get through there, but it also is hurts, as we know, the customer experience and the frequency and the predictability of the transit service if we have something like the center lane. But just to be clear, you said the operations there, and I guess you're saying the entire route, which we now operate, it would be about $3 to $4 million, something to that, but it would be more costly to have the bat lanes. Is that, can you just confirm that? I just am trying to.
Yeah, that's correct. So the bat lanes are at travel time improvement compared to the existing, but it's not as good as a exclusive lane, whether median or curb. It's not as good. So yes, the longer it takes, the more costly to operate. And that's true for any route, really. Like our longest routes today are the most costly. It's not about the road, it's not about the buses we use, it's about how long it takes.
and the operational burden on transit agencies, and this is not just HART, but across the country, operations are 70% of, pretty much as a ballpark of any transit agency's expenses. Some 30% is on the other needs, the capital needs, basically. And of any project that you have, the capital, no matter how big those figures sound to you, the operations are what drives it all. Just be wholly aware of that. And then just in terms of the capital improvements that would be made to make it, to accommodate either of these options, what are the kinds of things, or maybe just to accommodate the preferred option 3 as designated by HART, what are we talking about in terms of capital investment, of changes that would be made to accommodate that?
So on the FDOT side, we would be providing the roadway infrastructure for the transit route. So, providing the envelope within the median and any roadway construction that's needed for HART to come in and be able to run a bus-only median transit way. So that would be for the median option. And of course, on HART's side, there would be buses and stations. I'm not a transit expert.
Yes, that would be accurate. Stations would be our responsibility to build and maintain, and we would need more physical, like actual vehicles to purchase. Right now, we run 100 buses at peak time, so there are 100 buses out in the roads right now. Our fleet is 130. The spare ratio is FTA required, and the other 30 are mostly on the shop, and they rotate in and out. So yeah, to run more frequent service, we need more buses on that route, so we need to purchase new, not expansion vehicles.
So buses would be part of the capital purchase as well, but things like the curbs and for one-level boarding, as well as stations that are legitimate rail stations, even in our busiest routes, of which Florida Avenue is one, and which 56th Avenue is one, Hillsborough Avenue is one, Nebraska Avenues are one. Even in our very most high ridership routes, we have almost no stations that are, I think are just ordinary, average stations in so many, any metro areas that you go to around America. You don't have stations even of that level. I'm talking about stations that are more than poles and a bench, and it's too infrequent. So that's part of the capital. Part of it is the on-level boarding. Part of it is getting frequency, which everywhere across the nation, but also in our local surveys, it's the number one
Madam
thing.
Chair.
Hold on.
Point of order,
No.
yeah.
We don't interrupt anyone when they're speaking. As a chair, I would recognize you, but please do not do that again. That is not respectful. Commissioner
Well,
Kemp,
Madam
please.
Chair, I can call a point of order.
Commissioner Kemp, please continue.
Thank you. And that is the number one thing that ridership looks for is frequency, and that they can count on their buses reliable and on time, which is you can do with dedicated bus lanes. So anyway, that's the end of my comments. But I just really wanted to give a little bit of color, I think, to the presentation and a little bit of understanding about the BAT lanes versus the center lanes. And this is a really critical route, one of the top used routes, and the only one that we're looking at right now for BRT, which I think would be great for us to have a example for people to use as they do now in St. Petersburg and as they are getting all over the country.
Thank you so much for your comments. And to all presenters, thank you all so much. I don't think we have any other comments. We'd like to stay on schedule. We have about 9 minutes to wrap up. We're going to refer the multi-dollar level of service report to the next meeting, and I'm going to ask Ms. Alden, will she give her report, please?
Thank you so much. I have just a couple of items for you. One is that you have a copy of our annual wall calendar, which also serves as our annual report, gives some highlights of successes from the past year, and those are successes primarily in collaboration between the agencies and the local governments that are represented here on the TPO. You've seen a lot of examples this morning of these organizations working together, and that's what it takes to bring projects to fruition in this community. So we're pleased to share a couple of success stories. You should also have a copy of the Planning Commission's annual report, the Plan Hillsborough annual report that hits some highlights on that as well. I have chosen a retirement date. It is the 3rd of November of this year. And I have a lot of wonderful folks on staff, but no one who is prepared right now to jump into my role. And so my recommendation to you is that we do a search for a new director. And I'd like to bring to you next month at your policy committee meeting some options for how that search can be conducted. And that we would also do a review of how staff services are provided to this board. So, particularly for folks who are new to the board, that you're familiar with the organizational structure. And then the third thing that I wanted to suggest to you is that I have continued to hear some concerns about the application for the Reconnecting Communities Pilot Program grant. If it is the board's pleasure, we can withdraw that grant application. So if you are so inclined, please let me know.
Any comments from anyone? Commissioner Coyne, is your?
I'm sorry, no, Commissioner Kemp, I'll go after her.
I'll just say it's huge news that you're retiring, and we will miss you very greatly. I know we'll have a time to say goodbye, but I don't want to not acknowledge that's a big announcement. And I'll begin now by thanking you for all your service and your really good work with our TPO. So thank you very, very much. And someone will have big shoes to fill, so we will be missing you, but we'll take advantage of all your expertise in the meantime through November. So thank you. And I'll just say for the Reconnecting Communities, I thank you for that grant, and it's one that I want to, I have no intention as a member of withdrawing that or supporting any movement of that sort.
Mayor Kelson.
Yeah, if you could, Ms. Alden, just to address the grant a little bit further, and we talked, last week in my debrief, you mentioned that the process would be, if the grant is awarded, that we would further define the scope of that subsequent to that award. So I'm fully in favor of the grant if it's going to look at, potential connectivity, but if the purpose of the grant is to evaluate a boulevard that would do away with I-275, that would require approval from FDOT and our federal government, which is not likely to happen, then I see that as wasted money. So I'm in favor of the grant if the scope is limited to connectivity, but if the scope is going to include a boulevard study, then I would not be in favor of it.
And if I may be recognized?
Commissioner.
And I would just echo those same concerns, so that's it.
Commissioner Citro, Councilor Citro.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry. I also want to say congratulations. We're going to miss you, but retirement is always the step to a new future. So congratulations for you on making that move. But I disagree. with my colleague here that actually the federal government is funding the taking down of interstates at a rapid pace. We could actually get quite a bit of money from the federal government if we were to consider something like that. I have no problem with considering many things when looking at the I-275 corridor from the interchange to Bears, but to say that the federal government doesn't want to do that is just, I take objection to that, because the federal government is indeed funding those projects at more rapid rate than they've ever have before.
Any other, go ahead.
I just had a question for Madam Chair. Was Ms. Alden's retirement approved by the board? I didn't hear anything brought up at any of our prior meetings, so I think that we should have full approval, because Ms. Alden is just too good to let go.
Well, I guess she's saying, in other words, Happy New Year.
Prosperous New Year. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mayor Ross.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, first of all, let me say, Beth, we will have time, I'm sure, to talk to you about your service to this organization, and it has been really yeoman's work over many, many years. I really appreciate, I'm sure the board does too, the fact that we have a transition period, that you're giving us this information now so that we can have the benefit of your expertise for the next few months, and I do think a search is in order. In terms of the issue with the grant, let me just say this about it, because I'm assuming it's going to come up either later in the meeting or it's going to come up over the next few months. It really, I'm not going to speak to the issue of the grant per se. I'd rather talk to the larger issue. I have never been in favor of tearing down I-275. I have always thought that it is not something that is doable in this particular situation, particularly given the needs of the port and our freight needs and our evacuation needs. I, though, don't think there's a huge contingent in this community, however, that has come to this board over and over and over again, very, very passionately advocating that we look at this. And my view of this grant and this whole process has been that in the context of looking at it, I don't really believe it's ever going to come to the point where anyone is going to recommend tearing down I-275. However, there may be some other innovative things that can be done on the corridor that we have not looked at before that might help reconnect the community that is currently divided by the expressway. You know, this also intersects with the other conversation that we've been having on and off about whether or not to expand the expressway and whether or not in the future transportation plan we ought to be looking at expanding it. And quite frankly, my view at this moment is that there's so much uncertainty about the way that we're going to move forward on transportation in this community that to do either thing, to tear down the expressway or to expand the expressway, to make any commitment in either direction right now, I just think it's not realistic given how much uncertainty is out there about what our transportation future is going to look like. And so I guess that my attitude is that there's no danger in studying what some of the things that could be done to improve the corridor. And I really think that the grant was, in my opinion, probably pursued with that in mind. But at the same time, I just want to caution everybody that making any, wide-ranging decision about the future of this corridor now seems to me very premature, given that we're really reeling from events that have taken place over the past few years that have not given us any real clarity on what our transportation future is going to look like.
Thank you. Mayor Ross.
Yes, I'll be brief because my colleagues have stated the case so very well. I agree with Mayor Kilton and much of what Commissioner Cohen echoed also. I would not be supportive of the grant if it were contingent upon the primary object of it is to study demolishing the interstate. What I would like is some clarity from staff to talk to the government to find out if that is the central theme and purpose of the grant, if they're contemplating awarding this grant based primarily on that, then I think we should have a further discussion, because I don't know that I see consensus on this board to really pursue that. If, however, the grant, as Commissioner Cohen states, if it's holistic, looking at opportunities to improve that corridor in terms of the underpasses, I know we've learned a lot about underpass construction since those were built, in terms of the retention walls, the sound walls, what can we do in terms of making that corridor more community-friendly, then I'm in support of it. I think there's a lot of things we could do there, and this grant would be terrific. My question is, I would want some clarity from the government, because I wouldn't want them to award this grant based on almost deception, really, in a way, because we don't have consensus on tearing down the interstate, and then they're going to come along and say, well, wait a minute, we gave you X number of dollars because you told us this is what you were going to do, when in fact a majority of your board doesn't really want to do that. So as long as we're on good terms and we're healthy doing this grant under those conditions, I'm in favor of letting them move forward. That's a long way of saying what Mayor Kilton said a lot better than I did, but.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Ross. Secretary Quinn.
Just very quick. So first I did want to update. Beth and I had a very productive meeting, I guess it was earlier this month. I'm confident in the future that we're going to coordinate a lot better on these grants. We covered a lot of topics, and I really felt like we understood a little better where we were each heading. In terms of this grant, that Mary, you mentioned something that was probably my biggest concern. When we were contacted by the FHWA, because they wanted to know what our thoughts were on the grant application, being that it was our facility, they were clearly under the impression that the major emphasis of the study would be a study of removing the interstate and bringing it to an at-grade facility. And if you read how it's written, I understand there's other things in there, but I do think it was heavily skewed towards the removal. And some of the groups that would be involved in some of the public meetings and driving that process, quite honestly, have been advocates in the past for the boulevard concept. And so I'd really, from our perspective, we'd like to make sure, we're all about the connecting communities, looking at options. In fact, if you look at the work we're doing on the project ongoing now, if you haven't looked at some of those underpasses recently, they are much improved, much bigger, they connect the community much better. We've got a lot of ideas and we're willing to do that. But I'm not sure, and maybe Beth from the grant side would maybe have a better idea. If the grant was given, I'm not sure that that removing that from the grant would be in conformance with the reason of the grant being given. The only other concern we had initially was we also have a Connecting Communities grant in from the city of Tampa for a project, and of course this one competes with that. And so we were thinking if the board had an opportunity to say, do we want to support both? Do we want to support one or the other? Might have been a good opportunity to say which one is more important to us, because the opportunities to get both are probably not that great. But just bring that up. But I did want to make sure I acknowledge that Beth did reach out and we talked and had a very productive conversation.
Any other comments?
Sure, thank you. I appreciate that. And we were advised by Federal Highway that those two grant applications were not in competition because one is a planning grant and one's a capital grant. That being said, my suggestion to you is that we wait and see whether the grant is awarded. If it is awarded, those funds cannot be spent without an action of this board adding those funds to our Unified Planning Work Program, and that we would have a discussion at that time about exactly what those funds would be used for. And you all can have that discussion about, does it include the boulevard conversion as one of the options or not. And if your decision is we won't be looking at that at all, then I might need to go back to Federal Highway and say we would not be able to accept the grant if that was a condition. But I guess I would suggest to you that probably that conversation is worth having after we hear whether there even is a grant available to us.
Well, I wouldn't want the county to be embarrassed of receiving a grant, and then you might want to turn down the grant because of what we're discussing now, if it's a study. So is there any way that you can find out now, and then we can have this as a discussion at our next meeting?
Yes, ma'am. Let me see what I can find out.
And I was going to suggest the same thing that you just mentioned. I can tell you as a new board member, listening to all the different perspectives, the uncertainty that's involved in this is really a tough lift. So I would welcome any type of information that we can put our heads together and have maybe a more in-depth discussion of this grant at the next meeting. That would be real helpful, speaking as a new member. So thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. Old business? Any old business? Any new business? We have a motion for adjournment?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Thanks, everyone, for participating.
Thank you.